Hey guys, Matthew here once again, and wanted to cover a bit of the recent PoE sort of quality of life stuff, as well as a bit of discussion about the current release schedules and how things are going to be happening, as per what Jonathan just recently said, and as well as that, a whole different tangent on the last two Project Diablo 2 builds I was playing that I thought were really fun and worth sharing just quickly so you can see exactly what I've been doing and how you can do it as well. But to start things off, we did get a couple more announcements for quality of life in PoE 1 Secrets of the Atlas coming to us pretty damn soon. We learn everything about it in 4 days. We learn the scope of it, how big it is, how good it is, how maybe not good it is, hopefully all good. And a bit more quality of life has hit the sort of new league, and that is going to be with this shit here. So first of all, you can re-roll these other Conqueror and Elder Guardian maps with Horizon Orbs. About damn time. That's been a feature of Shaper Guardian maps for a long time. Very good feature. And finally hitting the Conqueror and Elder maps. And for SSF, that's a big deal because a lot of the time you'd basically just be stuck with a shitload of Baron maps, for example, and not enough of some other map, like the Al Hesman stuff, and you just couldn't complete all of these things, and it definitely sucked a lot. And now being able to Horizon them means you are never going to be out of a certain map, and you're always going to be ready to go. But the other big thing is for just general quality of life for your mapping, you got an extra map sort of little rucksack right next to your mapped device that you can do whatever you want with. You can preload your maps, you can you know, put scarabs there, rolling currency there. It's getting pretty damn comfy and convenient. We're getting dangerously close to removing all that sort of little friction from logging in, blasting, going over and over again from new maps. Like I said, I basically still want an identify all button. Obviously, like a sort all button would be amazing as well, but that I'm still not really expecting. But that would be pretty damn cool too. And if that type of shit happens, holy shit, we are just you're going to have to schedule regular breaks for your wrists. Otherwise, you will just, non-stop click and non-stop play and do some serious harm to yourself. So some good stuff coming there. But there's also this one here, which is the betrayal improvements coming. So just to begin with, I think, because there's probably more betrayal improvements, but they said there's going to be betrayal improvements. To begin with, you will now just be able to right-click and unveil modifiers that are, betrayal, unveiled, veiled, and not have to go to June. And that one is pretty big, honestly, because it is really quite annoying with those, for lack of a better word, just that friction, going to June, unveiling, doing it for every single item, dropping it on the ground, etc. And now you just pick it up, right click it, see what it is, unveil it, and it should be pretty damn streamlined to just get all of your recipes now as well. With the way that the new system's working, you're just going to run across and find the recipes as you explore your atlas, so you don't have to unveil all the gear and eventually get there. But I think what the end result here, especially on trade, is that there's going to be a lot more kind of like high-end hybrid items that have the betrayal stuff attached to it. Currently they still exist, but I would wager most people just don't give a fuck and stop unveiling shit like this. And yet there's still a decent amount of items out there that have these betrayal hybrid mods. With this, I think there's going to be a lot more. So you're going to be able to, get boots with movement speed and immune to chill and like hybrid res and stuff like that. So look out for that on the market. I think that's going to be a big impact. But then also, yes, you won't have to unveil certain modifiers like Elrond and stuff just by RNG and setting up a betrayal board. Instead, you're just going to be getting this stuff throughout the Atlas, which is a pretty big change because, yeah, there's almost every single league I'll be missing a few recipes and definitely need to keep fishing for certain things. And then lastly, Jonathan, while talking to Talkative Try, as a PoE2 side interview thing, did mention that they want to go back to kind of a more set schedule for PoE 1 and 2. Now, first of all, yep, that's just words. So we'll believe it when we see it. But the intention is that we're going to be alternating leagues and releases, updates, whatever for PoE 1 and 2 every 2 months from here on out. So 3.26 comes in, just under 2 weeks. Hopefully, 2 months after that is some PoE 2 action. 2 months after that is some PoE 1 action. But both PoE 1 and 2 will see updates every 4 months, basically, thus rotating every 2 months. Now, that is the intention. Of course, well, like it's still, yeah, it's been a bumpy, rocky road up till now with PoE 1 and 2, the way things have gone. So, yeah, there's still potentially and likely going to be delays. I mean, I'm not sure we've been able to take GGG at their word for like release stuff and ideal timelines and stuff for a good couple of years now. But if that's the intention, if that's going to be, how things shape up, that means we have a lot of PoE ahead of us and a lot to keep us busy for the future. So according to that, PoE 1, not at all, thrown away, not at all betrayed. And then PoE 2, I think the only thing to really say there is it's a bit of a negative that every 4 months is already where we're at with PoE 2 for the big updates, because it's an early access thing that showed up and it really feels like it should have been making faster steps to keep relevant interest for people that aren't in this world as much. Yeah, I think that's just a bit slow every 4 months like that. So I mean, ultimately, it's probably still fine. It's going to be a game that gets good, positive development time and becomes probably the leading ARPG overall. Maybe not for people that strictly like the entire PoE 1 playstyle and stuff, but yeah, I think eventually PoE 2 is going to be a big thing. It's just, yeah, this is going to take some time and still be a bit slower than you'd like. And then at the end of the day, I think that it's going to be a lot of PoE 1 and 2. Every 2 months, that is going to be pretty full on. Either way, that's the intention. That's what we've been told. So strap in. Hopefully, we get some PoE 2 stuff 2 months after this, and then 4 months within this current PoE 1 league is when we get the next big PoE 1 league. So more good stuff to follow. So with that said, I did also want to go ahead and show you my Project Diablo 2, two characters I've been playing, which is the Lightning Stabzon, but it is a melee version. So anyone familiar with previous Diablo 2 stuff, Stabzon, a very popular playstyle that throws spears and explodes a whole bunch of lightning into large packs. But this one is pure melee, and that is with the lightning strike ability, and then also charge strike, which is pretty notorious for very good single target damage. I wanted to go pure melee on this one, and then just live that kind of melee lifestyle. And it is probably the most well-rounded character and most kind of invested character I've probably ever done in like a Diablo 1, in a Diablo 2, non-modded Diablo 2, that sort of thing as well, because it's got like all the bells and whistles, as good gear as I can really make it without fully breaking the budget, and then full charms and stuff like that. The economy in Project Diablo 2 is still pretty bustling. There's still 5,000 to 7,000 people online at pretty much any one time, so you can buy whatever you want. And this is kind of a unique map that you're seeing here in the background. And it's been a lot of fun. This character is probably the funnest thing I played up till now in Project Diablo 2 mod. It's just nice little melee action. It feels pretty ethical still. And then only recently I picked up an Infinity for this character, which is that big green aura stuff that breaks immunities, lowers the resist of enemies. Up till that point, I was using the much more budget option of Pus Spitter on a Act 1 Merc. So huge amount of fun on this character. Can recommend. It's not something you should really start out with. I don't know how the actual throne version of Lightning Fury and Stabzon works in this mod, if it's particularly good or not. It probably should be with the amount of pack size these maps have. But overall, the actual just normal stabby version works pretty damn well. And the single target is really nice. And it even helped me kill some Ubers and stuff. And then can clear all kinds of maps as comfortably as you'd like. I tried to stack as much movement speed on this one as possible as well, so that you don't really feel the loss of teleport or anything like that. And we're just running around at like 160 run walk move speed, I think. and it was just a fun character to min-max. So yeah, that one took me to 92, I think, which is quite a decent level in Project Diablo 2, and gave me lots of reasons to just keep logging in, farming, and doing plenty of maps. But I thought that was going to be it, and I thought that was it for Project Diablo 2, and I was going to move on and we can do something else, but I kind of got roped into the idea of still doing a throw barb, as it sounded particularly fun when I was being kind of told what was going on there, and that's what came to this character as well. It's not fully well made yet, it's still being pieced together, but it's good enough that I can just at least share it in video format. And talk about what throw barb is, because in this game mode, in this mod, throw barb has seen a bit of improvement, and it is a very cool archetype of a character to try. Dual throw here is basically pretty similar to how PoE 1's Cobra Lash works. It's got bouncers attached to it, or chains, and as you level up, there's more of them. So by this point, I've got 8 bouncers on the weapon throw, and you can throw, all kinds of things like throwing knives, axes, and spears and stuff. Up to you as to what you do there, but it ends up being just a really cool playstyle. Barb in general is pretty damn strong in this thing because you get lots of different good passives for res and movement speed, defense, life, if you want all of that stuff, just to be a bit thicker and stuff. But then ultimately you got some good damage in the form of the weapon throws, and you can have infinite amounts of throws, unlike normal Diablo 2 where there's like constraints to the quantity of your throwing weapons. There's no quantity here. You just have weapons and you just throw them, and you never run out of stuff. That includes ethereal weapons as well. So ethereal is strictly an upgrade. Get those on there, and then you just throw as many as you like. This is like my first map, I think, for this character, so I was just testing the waters on mapping and stuff. There's still upgrades to be made, but it's been a very fun leveling experience. The campaign was just a breeze and very enjoyable, and just kept getting more and more powerful. And then once we got to maps and starting to gear up, we got plenty of options to go from, to pick from with how you want to build it as well. Because in this game there is also open wounds, which is kind of like the bleed version. And you can scale that a lot, and it's somewhat popular to do that. This is a hit-based and supposed to be just pure fizz with like some extra curses, but you can do the bleed variant, and that one sounds pretty good as well. So I didn't do that this time around, I just went for the hit base, but the bleed one definitely looks pretty interesting, and it's probably worth a go. And this is more of a starting character. From what I've been told, you can do a pretty good starter throw barb, and just get yourself through the mod, through the initial early game, and get into the end game and tear into it. So I've been having a lot of fun with the Project Diablo 2 mod. This is probably the last thing I play and the last video for my YouTube channel for the time being. But I did have a lot of fun, and I'll probably come back and check out more Project Diablo 2 when time allows, after playing this for a few more days, fine-tuning this character a bit, and then we'll move on and look towards PoE 1 release, and come back to this thing whenever we can, because it's probably going to be my new Diablo 2 fix from here on out, as it's just Diablo 2 but a whole lot more. So with that, let me just go ahead and show you both the characters, how they were built, and just talk a bit about each of them, and we'll leave it at that. So as we've said, there's not too much to really go over with these types of characters. Just going to show you the layout of the stats, the skills, the gear, and a few of the gear choices and stuff, but it's pretty simple stuff. So we are level 92, enough strength and dex to be able to use stuff, and then all vitality as per usual. I'm a bit uncapped on res. I have already pillaged my Geeds, which is the big MF charm, and an all res charm. Otherwise, do try and cap your res if you can. My poison was always a bit uncapped, but it didn't really matter. Those are my damage numbers for reference points if you want to know, because we did end up hitting level 47 on Charge Strike and Lightning Strike, and it goes up to a maximum of 10 chains, unfortunately. Apparently in previous versions it was like chaining a lot more, but it had to be kind of toned down. But that's what we're doing. There's also a new skill, Power Strike, that has the Lightning Nova attached to it, and we're also using Valkyries and spec heavier into Valkyries, because these things do help out in the rest of the build. They have kind of, I think, like a 50-50 lightning and fizz sort of damage, so they help you with lightning immunes. And then you can spec heavier into them. It's like basically a whole spec by itself if you really want it to be. But I am primarily a melee Stabazon that also has some Valks for backup. And yeah, like Stabazon has some cool passives here where you get extra movement speed, for example. You get extra faster hit recovery. And we are based around Thunderstrokes, though you can use the original Titan's Revenge. You can use, there's whole other, like Demon's Arc, I think it's called, another different spear. You can also just actually use just rare ones and stuff, but these I am based around. They have a corruption of +1 skills on them. I then got 2 sockets onto them and just put some shales in there so that we have our max breakpoint for attack speeds. The choices are otherwise pretty flexible, but Griffin's Eye is honestly just never going to really be beat. You definitely want some minus lightning res. This one in particular, I think hit, it was a -20, and then like the lightning skill is a good bit lower, like a 15 or some shit, I don't know, or even lower. Sorry, not a 15. 15-20 is as good as it gets. I think this one was like a 12-20. And then I put some facets in there, but the minus enemy lightning res is what you're really looking forward to, because you do want to break enemy res with, initially, it's one of these on an Act 1 Merc, which procs lower resist. Once you can afford it, it does pay off to get into an Infinity, because that is just much more reliable. Instead of waiting for procs, you just have your Merc running around permanently lowering everything's resist. Once things are broken with resist, that's when you want the minus enemy light res to kick in and do a whole bunch of good. So that's probably the only real staple item. Everything else kind of flexible. I mean, maybe Thunder Gods is also kind of a staple. So like the chest is a big, choice piece. You can do Chains of Honor, you can do Enigma, you can do Arcane's Valor. In this case, I put some attack speed jewels in there because I needed to hit my breakpoints. We got, javelin things that you can just shop for from Anya over and over again. And then just try and fill out stats and run walk. And I got as big run walk boots as possible, 60% on the Merman Sprocket. Crafted our own amulet a whole bunch with the blood crafting recipe. And then this is a +2 Amazon skill Spirit Ward with cannot be frozen corrupted onto it. Otherwise, I was just getting, Stabazon GCs that have faster run walk, faster hit recovery, and then filling out res on the rest of these. Amazon there, of course, Annihilus, and yeah, it should be pretty straightforward. There's nothing too confusing about this shit. You use Power Strike for as long as you want. You go into Charge Strike for single target. You do Lightning Strike for AoE. And if you want, you can instead go down the whole Lightning Fury route and start throwing some of your javelins. But that's what my allocation looks like. That's what that looks like. And then we move on to the current Barb, which is still being put together. But let's just, show you what's happening there. So it is currently level 85, needs a lot of strength, needs a lot of dex, though probably that's too much dex at the moment. And then the rest goes into vitality as per usual. The entire thing is built around double swing into frenzy into double throw. So double throw, as you can see, 8 bounces. And in this version as well, frenzy's pretty damn cracked. So you can build up frenzy for a long ass time and it'll last like 30 seconds. So you do want to build up your frenzy and then just do a lot of double throws. Yeah, then the passives are a good bit more flexible as to what you want to do. Do you want, there's throwing mastery, but do you want, more life? Do you want more, attack speed, move speed? Do you want res, armor, or defense? Sorry. So it's a good bit more flexible for choices, what you're going to do for your last few points. But you could, instead of what I did, go the bleed route, which is deep wounds and open wounds. And you can spec that into a lot of your gear as well. So that's the current kind of reference points, but the way I've tried to go about this is do Lacerator, which procs amplified damage, which is what's going to make enemies take more physical damage and also break their fizz immunity. And then also a Lawbringer, which is currently just a pretty budget sort of rune word that lets you decrepify enemies as well. So you have both decrepify and amp damage, and the new unique hat that lets you apply an additional curse, Raycor's Virtue. So that's currently the setup. Lawbringer I got on at like level 40 or something like that on a much lower sort of thing, axe, and that's part of why this is a cool thing to experience, because rune words can go into throwing weapons in this version of the game. And yeah, then you go with a fortitude for a bunch of extra damage, so there are some definite choices for like rares and crafts and stuff if you really want. And then the rest of it is still kind of placeholder, I think. Ravenfrost and Angelic setup. There's a new belt for Nosferatus that gives attack speed with some Deadly Strike. Deadly Strike is pretty important for this, and Crushing Blow is kind of important as well. And then War Travelers at the moment just give a bit of extra fizz damage, but you can do Gore Riders for Deadly Strike and Crushing Blow and all kinds of stuff. It is pretty cool though. It ends up being like a very, fun little attack speed based playstyle, and you move around pretty quick once you got your frenzy up. So it's a very fun build to level and then put together. And then there's plenty of choices as to what you can do for pretty much all of the gear. And most of my Grand Charms and Charms are just very much placeholders, and we'll min-max those as we can. So that's probably it. That's all I got to say. Had a lot of fun doing. Actually, I will say I'm going to put a beast here for a fanaticism aura, because otherwise this Act 5 Merc is currently giving us might. There are plenty of choices as for what mercs and how that you're going to approach the merc situation. I'm doing a might aura one. I'm going to put a fanaticism in his main hand, and then he's just going to be a big buff stick for me. Okay, so yeah, had a lot of fun with ProjD2. I still absolutely wish I could have had updated graphics, but whatever, it's fine. I used to love Diablo 2 for its graphics back in the day, and it's a bit of a shame, but it's still very playable. And once you get used to it, you definitely kind of get used to it, and it's not a very big deal, because the systems here are pretty well made, pretty well thought out, and it just gives you a good reason to play more Diablo 2, log in and farm a bunch more, and still have those dopamine hits for the really cool items and the runes. And yeah, going back without this stash tab is going to be tough to like D2R, because this thing was very comfortable and very much needed in the original game after a long ass time. So can still highly recommend it. You do need the classic Diablo 2 and Lord of Destruction, which you can find on the Battle.net. It'll be hard to find, but it's out there. It's only like $15, but definitely something you can do in between your PoE enjoying. So with that, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed my little venture into Project Diablo 2. Maybe more videos in the future when we come back to it. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.